Hi, Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. For nearly 30 years, I've been focused on helping advisors become the best both personally and professionally. This show is dedicated to sharing with you tools, tips, strategies, distinctions, things that are working now. I'd love for you to take a moment, and if you're watching this on YouTube, click the like button and also the subscribe button so you get automatic updates. And if you happen to be listening to us on a podcast, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and you leave a positive review for us. Now, with that said, let's get to today's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lucas, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, in this episode, we're going to continue our excellence conversation. Today, we're going to start part one of our two-part How to Rockstar Your Daily Game Plan. And I want you to think about this as kind of an extension of the last couple of episodes. Like the last two episodes, we focused on morning success rituals. And today, we're going to start our conversation, which makes total sense, right? How to go ahead and operate inside of your daily game plan environment as a financial advisor. And for some of you new who are joining us for the first time, again, I've had the privilege of almost 30 years now coaching just financial advisors. So this is my gift back to the industry, my way of contributing to the success of, anybody who's listening or watching me. So let's talk about daily game plans. You know, when I started out my career in the early 90s, and that's how long I've been doing this, is that what I recognized early was if I can get an advisor, and this is going back to when we were still very much in a transactional world, if I can get an advisor to come into their market day, because that's what it was all about back then, with a very clear set of outcomes, in other words, like a set of very short-term goals, that they would be a lot more likely to be A, more consistent, and B, also to drive a bigger result each and every day. In those terms, dropping more tickets, doing more gross. So fast forward, here we are in 2022. While our industry has changed, right? There's not so much ticket dropping anymore or doing daily gross, but the premise is the same with one big difference. See, back in the early 90s, when I started my career, an advisor would leave the day, right, at 4:30 or 4:15 Eastern or 5 o'clock Eastern when the market's closed, and you literally, on the elevator ride down, right, you knew whether or not you had a successful day or not. Why? Because it was predicated upon how many tickets you dropped and how much gross revenue you do. So in other words, you got immediate and instant feedback. You knew exactly whether or not you had a successful day or not, or it was a crappy day. Well, in our new environment, that's no longer truly the case. Like there's not that KPI anymore. So what we're left with is setting up our own game. So let's talk a little bit about, we're going to do today is this episode really kind of talk concept. And then part two, we're going to talk detailed strategy. But let me give you concept first. Okay. So here's why this is important. A client of mine who's since passed away, but he's one of my very first clients. He was out in Denver, Colorado. A man who did not need to do this to make money. He had family wealth from doing this. And he allowed me to coach him because he was already in his early 70s. He allowed me to coach him because he was always innovative. I just want to see what this is all about. And the reality was that I think I learned way more from him than he did from me. I like to think it was an equal exchange, but he had so much wisdom. And I asked him once, I said, look, you've been at this at the time, he was at it for 35, almost 40, I think it might actually maybe 40 years at the time. And I said, if you were a young advisor, what is one of the secrets of success? And I've never forgotten this. And he goes, my career, if you think about it, is really made up of just very successful decades. My successful decades are made up of successful years. My successful years are made up of successful quarters. And my successful quarters are made up of successful months. My successful months are made up of successful weeks. And my successful weeks are made up of successful days. So if you look at it from that perspective, what matters? Have a successful day. Everything else takes care of itself. And I never forgot that lesson. So the first concept here is understand that what you do today matters in the overall context. We never want to waste a day. Okay? Now, I'm not saying that days do not get wasted, but our intent is not to have a wasted day. That's number one. The other thing is that we have to also recognize that we're going to have, in our game, we're going to have 3 different types of day. This again, concept. So, type of day, we're going to have what we call a tactical day. Now, a tactical day is going to be a day when we're working in the business. We're going to get up, do our morning ritual, go back to the last 2 podcasts. If you need information how to do a Rockstar morning ritual, right? We're going to do a morning ritual, right? We're going to be in the people business. So we're going to be contacting clients, contacting prospects, prepping for reviews, doing reviews, doing postmortems out of reviews, kind of what you guys know how to do, right? That's a tactical day. That's one type of day. The second type of day is going to be what we call a strategic day. Now, what's a strategic day? Strategic day is a day we're working on the business. So we're not doing contacts. We're not doing reviews. We may not even be in the office doing this, quite frankly. This is when we're working on our business plans. We're working on systems. We're working on maybe segmentation. Maybe we're working on our website. Maybe we're working on some CE credits, some personal development stuff. Like, in other words, we're looking to make ourselves better, and we're looking to make our business better. So it's working on you, on the business. So we got in the business and then on the business, on you. The third type of day is what we call a renewal day or a rejuvenation day, whatever you want to call it. And that's when we're away from the business. It's code for vacation. This is when we're going to step away, recharge the batteries, right? Make sure we're at our optimal level so we can go ahead and execute at the highest level. So we've got our in the business, on the business, and then gone from the business. Now, conceptually, again, today in this episode, the question is going to become, what's the allocation? So I'm going to give you some rules, and then you'll do what you want with them. So in my experiences and my observation, this is going to sound almost counterintuitive here. The more strategic time you have, the faster your business grows. Because in strategic time, you are now going to be the business owner and you're going to be the entrepreneur. Remember, there are 3 identities that we have in our advisor game. The advisor identity, the business owner identity, and then the entrepreneur identity, right? There's 3 identities. So strategic time is where our business owner and our entrepreneurial identities shine. That's when we kind of pull them out and we deploy them, right? During our tactical days, we are the advisor. We are the artist. We're the painter. Like we're in doing what we do, right? That's what it's all about. But if you stay there 5 days a week, 20 days a month, 240 or 50 days a year, you end up with a very well-paying job. Make some money, nothing wrong with that, but you cannot elevate, you cannot transform inside of a tactical environment. It's not thinking. So one of the things I want you to consider is at least 1 day a week, or even 2 half days. I'll even split that with you. Like 2 half days you allocate to work on the business, right? So one model is, hey, maybe Mondays I'll work on the business, and maybe I'll work on the business some part of Monday and part of Friday, right? What you don't want to do is come into a day and say, hey, I'm going to contact 15 clients today. I'm going to work on my website today. I'm going to reach out to a CPA today. Oh, I've got to do some CE credits later on. And you have the zigzag effect, right, where you're I'm in strategic mode for an hour, then I'm going to go in tactical mode for 90 minutes. I'm back in strategic mode. It's a terrible idea, a lot of wasted energy, a lot of chaos, just not sustainable. So the one thing you want to do is declare your days in advance. Now, the tool we use inside of the way we teach here, what I teach, is a term called a strategic calendar. Now, what's a strategic calendar? A strategic calendar it's not Outlook, it's not Redtail, it's not Salesforce, although I guess it could be, but it's a separate calendar that it's like a day at a glance, okay? And what you do, as far as you possibly can, you can always change this, is you declare what type of day you're going to have in advance. Are we going to be in the business? Are we going to be on the business? Are we gone from the business? Okay? And you start working that. And what you want to do is, in essence, work backwards, where you want to start with your renewal time, then your strategic time, then your tactical time. Most advisors work backward. They do tactical first, and then how much time do I have left? It's a terrible idea because the law is that the job will expand to fill the time allowed, right? So we want to keep that under control. So at minimum, 1 full day a week or 2 half days, that's fine. Now, I do have clients, and I also do this myself, where we don't look at our world in a weekly model. We look at our world in a monthly model or even a quarterly model. And then in that context, well, I mean, you could take a week and work in the business. You can take a week and work on the business. You can take a week work in the business and then be gone for a week. And I've got clients that run that model. We're in the business tactical. We're working on it strategic. We're in it again tactical, and then we're gone from it that 4th week. Now, if you do that model, that will literally almost guarantee you anywhere from 12 to 16 weeks of downtime every year. You can also combine those into some mini sabbatical windows, which is, we're going to probably do an upcoming episode on strategic calendars. But for now, let's just kind of keep this in the context of a daily game plan. So again, you got to know what day you're going to have. What else do we need to do? Inside of that, I want to introduce you to the concept of what I call mini days. Now, what's a mini day? In mini days, you take, whether it's a strategic or a tactical day, and you break it up into 2 minis, if not maybe even 3 mini days, right? So what I do is I look at my day as an AM day, a midday break, and then a PM day, okay? So I'll do my morning ritual. Right, I'll check all my boxes I need to check there. I come into my game, and by the way, I don't care where you're located. So let's also sidebar conversation. When do you start your day? Like on a tactical day, when do you start the day? When you're conscious. So your day does not start like once you hit the office, because I know you're checking emails, I know you're researching, I know you're checking the market, you're doing all the you're doing that. So in reality, your day may start 5:30 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., right? So just keep cognizant of that, right? That, hey, we're rolling well before we may be in the chair, so to speak, okay? So you're going to have your morning ritual. You're going to have your AM day. You're going to have a midday break, which we'll talk about options there. Then you're going to have your PM day. Then you shut it down, and then you're off and doing what you do, right? Now, why is that important? It's important because most human beings can't focus for 10 hours, right? But you can probably focus for 3 to 4. And when you start looking at your day, so what I'd have you do is, as part of, and again, we don't get too detailed here, that's for next episode. But what I'd have you do is just start bracketing, hey, this is my AM day, this is my window for my midday break, and then my PM day. Now, the variance on the midday break, there's 2 models, right? There's whether I'm working out or not. Some of my clients will work out in the morning, some will work out midday. Some of them work out after hours, but that's just, the family life and just life in general get in the way of that typically. So usually morning or midday. That's your differential. When you have these frameworks built this way, what happens is all of a sudden now you're really kind of focused on, you don't worry about what's going on in the afternoon. You're focused on between, I don't know, let's say you get up at 6, your morning ritual, maybe you work out, things like that. It's 8 o'clock, it's go time. So you focus from 8 to 12. Right? And then from 12 to 1:30, we have our midday break, lunch, maybe a meditation or a nap. We'll talk about naps on the next episode. And then we crush out our PM game. And I know what some of you just heard, isn't naps for sissy? No. Naps are midday little 20-minute power naps or a secret sauce. It's like a secret power that will energize you for the second half of the game if you do them appropriately. That'll be a conversation for next episode. So we have these frameworks, right? And what I have found is most advisors can focus for 2 to 3 hours, right? In doing that. So that's why I want you to kind of think about. So one of the tools will be a strategic calendar, which we'll do in a future episode. But for right now, what you've got to do is decide what is the modality that I'm going to be in any given day. Am I tactical? Am I strategic? Am I on renewal time? Next overarching factor. So you can time block, you can schedule, you can organize everything. But if you do not have energy to execute, it's all meaningless. So the raw material of our game is mental, emotional, and physical energy. And if you are burnt out, if you are vaporized, I don't care time management, blocking, intent, or anything, you're absolutely in survival mode. And I want you all to think about this. What percentage of your days are you up and looking to attack and drive results versus I'm up and I just want to survive. I just want to do what I got to do and get out of there. I want you to think about that because how you answer that question is a big clue to where you are with your mental, emotional, and physical energy. The reality is that in our industry, this space here, there are a lot of burnt out advisors. And more so now than ever before, because the demands of life with pandemics and everything else that's going on, look, it weighs on us. And if you don't have very specific strategies to take care of you, this is what frustrates you. One of the things what I'm seeing in my work with advisors this year, January 2022, is a lot of them are coming into the year not mentally, emotionally, and physically ready to rock and roll. The holidays were stressful, family members, get COVID, things happen, and then, we feel like we're behind. So one of the things you want to be very clear on for yourself is you got to check in. And I'll give you a great example. So one of my clients gotten COVID, family members are gravely ill for other reasons, and so on. And so he and I chatted the other day, and I told him, I said, look, man, I said, your year probably is not going to need to start till February 1st because you're going to try to soldier on through this thing, get no rest and recovery. There's no recharging of the battery, and you're going to suffer through this. And he said, well, I said to you, hey, when's your renewal window? He goes, 2 weeks in the end of March. I said, look, you can get there doing the way you're doing it, but you're going to lose the whole first quarter. Well, why don't we just go ahead and say, let's just take a week and declare a renewal week and recharge the batteries, right? And here's something I want you guys to think about. So when you think about like your cell phone, which may not be the best analogy, but it's what I'm going to go with for this conversation. And you run that sucker down to like 10%, 5%, 15%. And you never get to 100%, right? You always like trickle charging it here, getting it, plugging it in for 15 minutes there, try to keep a charge on it. It's never going to be as effective, right? And in reality, you also damage the battery. Well, at some levels, I don't think we're very different than that. I think if you're always trying to, stay one step ahead of crisis mode with your energy and your health and everything else, eventually it's going to catch up with you. You need to give yourself a good recharge, right? And this is about permission. So if your brain is like, well, hey, once I get caught up, then I'll get some downtime. It never happens. Nobody's ever caught up in this game. I don't know any of my tribe who's caught up because there's always the next opportunity, the next client, the next project that we can go do. So that's why that strategic calendar is so important. Okay? Just want to put the framework. So the bottom line is this. Daily game plans are only as good as the energy that you have to execute them. So number one, you got to make sure that you're coming to the game, right, with energy. Number two, I used to do this for many years. I haven't done this recently. I may get back to it. I used to have my clients track their energy levels, like a scale of 1 to 5 in the morning and then 1 to 5 in the afternoon. And a lot of times what I found was that I'd have a client that had really good energy in the morning, like 4 or 5, rockstarring it out, and then it'd be like a 1, 2 in the afternoon. I'm like, okay, so what's going on here? And what happens is called lunch. Now, I don't think it's as prevalent as it was years ago, but depending on the environment you're in, if you're in more of a wirehouse firm environment versus an independent environment, we have wholesalers, and they're good people. I don't mean that, but sometimes they bring bad food, right? And so number one is if you're eating lunch by number, and number 4 supersize or anything crazy like that, or you're eating like starchy carbohydrates and all that for lunch, and you want to know why at like 1 or 2 o'clock local, it's like nap time for you, is because you're sabotaging yourself. So one of the other, again, global frames that we're going to talk about inside of a daily game plan is energy management. So how do we do energy management? What you eat. So again, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not here to give you nutritional advice. It's not my jam, okay? But I will tell you this. You eat starches and carbohydrates and sugars, you're going to crash, okay? So we want to eat like an athlete. I don't care what you do. And I tell my clients this. Hey, I don't care what you do for dinner. You want to go eat a whole pizza and 2 bottles of wine? That's on you. But during a business day, We're going to eat it as an athlete. We're going to eat low carb. We're going to eat protein, right? Maybe a salad, maybe a piece of chicken. And we're going to manage our energy flows. Because if I have energy, I can execute. Okay? And this is where, and look, and I don't care what the model is. I don't care if you're a solopreneur working out of your house with 50 clients or you're running a $20 billion team. It still comes down to energy management. And I'm telling you, so many of you sabotage your visions for what your bigger, brighter, bolder futures are because you just don't have the gas in the tank to pull it off. And that is 100% controllable. You know, when I did my business plan for 2022, I do the same process I teach my clients. And so when we do goals, we have an area there called threat assessments, right? Like what could sabotage? And like when I did mine, I was like, man, hey, whatever's going to happen in Ukraine is going to happen. The South China Sea is going to happen. Whatever the Federal Reserve is going to do, they're going to do. I said, man, my health and energy, I've got to even go to a higher level. Like it's okay, but it's not where it needs to be or where it could be. So that's got to be a point of focus, a point of emphasis for this year. And I'm telling you, if you elevate your energy levels, you will have better days. You will get more done. You'll feel better doing them, right? And you'll just have a sense of accomplishment, right? So make sure that throughout the day you're doing it. The other, again, we're talking global here, is that you want to make sure, in my perfect world, again, sometimes you might, I think this day and age you can all do this. If you're spending too much time on your ass, ASS, it's not good for business, definitely not good for your health. So you want to definitely work with some sort of stand-up desk where you get a Vara desk on your credenza or you get something that built, like we've got, I'm custom built here with a motorized desk. Whatever you do, standing up will make you more money in this business. Let me repeat that. Standing up will make you more money in this business. Why? Because you can use energy, use your body to communicate. Especially, a lot of you guys are doing Zooms now, right? We're doing Zooms. We're not on the phone as much. We're not having clients in as much. So if you're doing a Zoom meeting sitting down, that's going to be one level of energy flow. If you're doing a Zoom standing up, that's a whole different energy flow, right? Like I've got this whole rig here. Like I do Zoom. I guarantee you, none of you do more Zooms than I do in a given day. I do between 12 and 14 private Zooms in a tactical coaching day. 12 to 14, 30-minute durations. And I rock it like this on every single one of them. Why? Because I'm standing up, I've got energy flow, and I've got my rig supporting me, right? And rig being my setup in essence, right? Some of you need to really rethink your office environments and ask yourself, is this current office environment conducive to energy? Does it allow me to be at my best? Does it feel good? That's all part of daily game plan, okay? So we're going to do that. So again, what you put in your mouth throughout your tactical day matters, all right? So take the healthy way out, not the easy way out by ordering by numbers, okay? Nobody should be ordering by numbers. What else in terms of daily game plans? We have energy flow. So again, for some of you, if you just got your energy back in the afternoon, it would transform your day. It just would, right? So think and act like athletes. It's critically important. We want to be doing that, okay? And a couple more, if you will, global pieces. Then next episode we'll do more detail. The other piece about daily game plan is to what I call, like we talk about that weaving things in, right? So I have this rule: marketing in the morning, admin in the afternoon. So if today's a tactical day and I got to get after it and reach out to clients, prospects, COIs, right? Those big three. The earlier in the day you get them done, the more probability of them actually being done, right? And in this day, look, there might be some difference of opinion here, but my experiences are that, picking up the phone and like calling people, doesn't really work that well. It's an intrusion. Most people don't pick up anymore. They screen their calls. So again, the way we do things today, right, the modality we do things is going to be probably email, maybe some text messaging if you're allowed, maybe some messaging on one of the social apps, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, right? But the bottom line is, it's really we're going to be picking up the phone. That gives you a great opportunity. Like a lot of my clients now, like we do our morning ritual like 5:30, 6:30, 7 o'clock. We're doing contacts at like 6:30, 7 a.m. because we're doing electronically. Like we get into our game at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Like we've already rock starred our contacts. Like we've already hit what we needed to, which we'll talk about. Next thing is like what are the daily KPIs we want to be tracking. I'm going to talk about that in the next episode. But man, to rockstar the marketing and biz dev early in the morning, before you get into reviews and admin and all the other stuff that we know comes our way, man, it keeps you totally consistent, right, going forward. So again, it's really about understanding, how to take that morning, that AM window, get the most out of it, have that midday break, and then have that PM, and then kind of that debrief at the end of the day. So one of the things we're going to talk about, so the PM, to me, that's like, I look at that as like low IQ stuff. So administrative stuff maybe see whatever you got to do that doesn't require like a lot, that's cool in the afternoon. And then you always want to have an end of the day ritual, an end of the day process where you track it all. So, we'll talk about this next episode, like what to track, but you never want to leave your office. And I don't care if your office is in your house or you have a regular, physical office. Two things, actually three. You make sure you track everything that you need to track. More on that next episode. You want to make sure you're very clear on what tomorrow needs to bring. So you do the next day's daily game plan. And then the third thing you do, you physically clean your space so it looks orderly and you're in control. Daily game plan, environments matter. If your office is chaotic, your desk is chaotic, your inbox is chaotic, you're going to feel like you're out of control. And when you feel like you're out of control, immediately you are in survival mode. Okay? So I just want to give you some like we'll call global frames in this episode. We're going to kind of shut this down now. Next week I'll talk more about the real details, so make sure you get part 2 of this. And then I guess really an announcement, if you will. So this has been something I've been thinking about for a while. For many years, I ran a website called practicepower.net. And it was 100% free. It had legacy stuff that I did, many years ago. It's still valuable to advisors. It was my gift back to the industry. We shut that down. Not because I don't want to give back to the industry, but because we've got something new now. So if you go to MagellanNetwork.net, you will see we have a 100% complimentary, free, no gotchas, if you will, university or academy of masterclasses, forms, tools, templates, just a plethora of coaching work that I've done. There's a couple 100 hours of content. It's just yours. Just go MagellanNetwork.net. You'll see on the bottom, just register. It's yours. You get instant access. My gift to the industry. Let me help you. Let me add value to your world. That's what I'm all about. Okay? And so please go check that out and turn your colleagues onto it too. I'd really appreciate that. And with that saying, I'll see you all for part 2. We're going to get very granular, right, into daily game plans, KPIs, what to track, what to do. We'll do that next episode. And again, thank you all for listening and watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game, both personally and professionally.